Ella,
Thank you for making the time to have an interview with me.
how's it going?
Oh, it's going pretty good. Online school isn't as difficult as I thought it would be, which I'm very
Yeah,
lucky and happy about. But that's actually the first question I have for you. How are you doing?
doing okay. Yeah, it's definitely maybe just gotta you don't have to listen, okay? It's definitely a different experience. As you can tell, having a couple young ones at home isn't it makes it a little bit harder throughout the day. However, we're doing the best we can. I miss everything for sure. Miss the school, I miss the students, miss the staff, and yeah, it's been a challenging for sure.
Yeah. Okay. So we're gonna start off with the questions that
Sure.
most of the students are dying to know. Um, First off, what's happening with prom and grad?
hmm
Yeah.
So I sent out something today to the grade 12s, and the school board on Monday announced that prom is canceled for this year, which is certainly unfortunate. I know a
Yeah.
lot of people are looking forward to it, and there's a lot of planning that goes into that. But that's sort of the reality of the times that we're in. And then for grad, what they're looking at is to try to have that sometime in the fall. And I don't know exactly what that's going to look like because it's sort of an unknown. It's something that we've never done before.
Yeah.
But we do want to try to do something like that for the students in the fall. But we're not sure what that's going to look like.
Yeah. No, that's a nice thing.
Yeah,
Our next question is what will happen with personal items that we left in our lockers?
yeah, like all those moldy lunches. Hey, gross. Yeah. It's a good question. I think what the plan will eventually be is to have an opportunity in like towards the end for people to come in sort of in a controlled way to get the stuff from their lockers. They haven't come up with exactly what that plan is yet. And the challenge with a lot of this is that we take direction from the health officials. So as soon as
Yeah.
they give us permission to do anything, or as soon as we want to do something, we have to get permission from them to make sure that's a solid plan. So right now, no one's allowed in the school. I've been in there a few times just to get items for teachers and some laptops. But because we're in a state of emergency and schools are closed, I know people have been emailing me and say, "Hey, Mr. Barnes, can I get my jacket? Can I get my get my laptop?" And unfortunately, we can't do that at this time. But there will be an opportunity. It's just not going to be soon.
Yeah. And then, so a big question about grades is that is our lowest grade since before online school, so since before March 13, will that be our lowest possible grade?
Yeah, so I appreciate that question because it's something that's being talked a lot about, and I get it. So here's the best way I think we can take a look at it is that our teaching staff prior to March 13th, there weren't any midterm marks at that time, right? So our staff have gathered evidence, right? But as far as calculating marks, a lot of our staff haven't done that yet. So the only people that have their marks are grade 12s for midterms
Hmm.
and the students in grade 10s or the half courses, so the civics,
Yeah.
careers, and arts, okay? So what the ministry is trying to direct teachers and trying to direct us is that what we don't want to happen is we don't want students to be negatively affected by COVID-19 and school closures. This is nobody's fault,
Hmm.
right? So the gist of the message is that if a student or a family is really struggling to engage in learning, right, and it's been so difficult for them that, and I can think of situations from people that I've heard of that they haven't had access to technology, or perhaps some of their family members are sick, then in good conscience, we can't say, well, guess what? You didn't hand an assignment, you get a zero, and your mark goes down. Okay? So from a technical standpoint, is that yes, what your achievement was prior to March 13th, that whatever that achievement looks like, that actual mark cannot go down.
Yeah.
Um, so I can sort of give you an example. If you had a 65 in math, then that mark of 65 won't go down. So what we're trying to do as a staff is try to find opportunities for students to be successful, for opportunities to students to increase your mark and to engage in learning. I mean, that's what this whole process is all about. It's not about marks right now, and I get it. It's hard to sort of people to get their head around that. But the most important thing for our staff right now is to try to get our students engaged in learning. It's very hard to do right now because we don't have that connection and we're doing it from distance. But to engage them in learning and hoping that that will just all like help in the end increase marks.
No, that's fair.
Yeah, we don't want to punish anyone for being in a situation that's nobody's fault. Nobody expected the school to be closed, and we don't want people to feel like that they weren't given a fair shot. That's definitely not what we'll do. But we do want to encourage everyone to be engaged in the learning that's being provided for you, because you will have the opportunity to increase your achievement. And for students in grade 12, that could mean money for scholarships, right? So keep logging in, keep being engaged, keep talking to your teachers, because it will, no matter what your mark is, it's going to pay off in the end to be engaged in your own learning.
Yeah. Another question is, will there be exams this semester?
Yeah, so there won't be any exams, again, just because this is a different kind of learning that's taking place, and it wouldn't be fair for us to say, oh, wait, by the way, you have an exam on material that we're just not able to cover. So for the end of the year, there won't be exams, and there also will not be culminating activities. So what? Yeah, and that's new information. And again, what we're really trying to focus on is learning, right? And not necessarily the marks and worried about what's 30%, 20%, 10%. We're really kind of focusing on learning, and we're hoping that, like, as we get towards the end of the year, those days that used to be exam days, those days that used to be exam review days, are going to be learning days, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so will there be yearbooks this year?
Yeah, so Mr. Bannister has been working hard on producing the yearbooks. That's still going to go forward. We decided to sort of go a different route anyway with yearbooks, but that is going to happen, and we're going to have that information out fairly soon about how those can be ordered and purchased. Obviously, having them delivered to people right now is a challenge. Our goal was going to be a little bit different this year, is that we wanted everyone to leave this year with a yearbook, and that was something new that we were going to try, but that's going to be more difficult now. So yes, there will be an opportunity for a yearbook. Again, it will look a little bit different because we haven't had the events towards this later half of the year, but it's still a pretty good yearbook, so we will have that available.
Okay. Now we're going to get into a little more personal questions.
Sure.
What made you want to become a principal?
So yeah, it's an interesting question. Never thought that I ever wanted to be. My dad was a principal in elementary school, and my mom was a teacher. And I just felt I just really liked the idea or the challenge of leadership. So a lot of my personal experience comes back to sport. And as soon as I was done playing sports, university football, I quickly turned my attention to coaching. And I really liked the idea of still staying competitive, but then I really loved the idea of being able to lead and the challenge that comes with that. So when I first started teaching, it was certainly never on my radar. And then as things kind of progressed, I enjoy new challenges, and I wouldn't say that I was bored with teaching or coaching, but I just felt like I just needed a different challenge, and this was a challenge that I wanted to look into. Yeah.
No, I get that. That's great. If you had to give up your profession tomorrow and you had to do something completely different, what would you choose?
Yeah. So when I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do at that time, for me, it was either policing or teaching. So I was looking into sort of joining the RCMP. I really sort of liked the idea of going somewhere else and moving away. But in the end, I decided teaching. But now, if I knew what I knew now, what I would actually kind of go back and do is I would take a look at a trade. I
Oh.
like, yeah, I like working with my hands. I like building
Mhm.
things. I built this house that I'm living in right now. So I'd actually go back and look into some sort of trade for sure.
Lovely.
Mm.
Um, when you were in high school, who was your favorite teacher and why?
Who's my favorite teacher and why? I had actually, it's a good. I had two different favorite teachers. First was my law teacher, Mr. Legg, and he just retired last year. So he was also my very first football coach. So he was the one that encouraged me to sort of to give that a try, and that took me to a pretty good place in my life. So and he was a person that I really really respected. And then there was also an English teacher, writer's craft teacher, Mrs. Jansen. And the reason that I would call her one of my favorite teachers is I didn't really know when I got to grade 12 or grade 13 what subjects I really loved, or I didn't really know what my passion was. I was always a pretty good student, but I didn't have that kind of passion. So in that
Yeah.
writer's craft course, she really taught me the love of writing and reading and just how powerful literature could be. So after that, after her course, I went to university for English and history, but it was certainly her influence that directed me towards that, and her sort of that push of encouragement, saying, "Hey, you know what? You're a pretty good writer. Like, why don't you start looking at writing more, and why don't you start trying to stretch yourself into different things?" And it's something that I've sort of taken into my life now as I write fairly regularly, which I didn't do for a long time, but I sort of found that as I did that, it kind of flared up some of those old passions of writing.
Yeah, that's nice. You're lucky, you know.
Totally.
Yeah,
I had great teachers growing up, and it certainly made a difference in
very influential.
how I viewed teaching and education for sure.
Mhm. So, what is your favorite quarantine hobby slash activity?
Yeah, I mean, Netflix is kind of getting worn out. That's for sure. Watching The Last Dance right now, the Michael Jordan of the Chicago Bulls. It's awesome. It's different. We have two young girls that you just saw, so we spend a lot of time with them, and that's a lot of our days are sort of devoted to keeping them busy and trying to balance our work life as well. In the basement, we have this sort of little exercise area, so that's sort of my little outlet uh,
Yeah.
to make sure that I'm staying mentally healthy.
Mhm.
And other than that, I think we're just trying to stay as balanced as we can. But as far as hobbies, like we picked up a couple of books, so I'm working my way through a couple of books. We broke out some puzzles that we've never opened before. Just trying to do like little things like that to stay
Yeah,
mentally healthy for sure.
like family game night every night.
Yep, no, it is. And exactly what's turned into, which is kind of a neat thing.
Yeah. So the next question, I think most students could answer this, but what
Yep.
is your biggest pet peeve?
Like as being a principal, to be honest, I think more a general thing. My biggest pet peeve is just uh, disrespect, and that could be people say, oh, he's going to say vaping. Well, vaping's a form of disrespect, right? And people say, oh, it's uniform. Well, no, if you don't wear uniform and you choose not to do that, that's a form of disrespect. So I think in the biggest general terms is when people are disrespectful.
Yeah.
That's I would say that's my biggest pet peeve.
Mhm. If you could have dinner with any person, dead or alive, who would you choose?
Ooh, dead or alive, any person. Hmm.
It's a tough question.
That is a tough one. I mean, I know it's not like a lot of people always ask it, but something I haven't thought about in a while. Wow, let me come back to that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now we're getting to a bit more fun and entertaining questions. If
Uh-oh.
you could travel anywhere in the world, where would it be and why?
Anywhere in the world?
Yeah, anywhere.
Yeah, I've been fortunate. I've seen a lot of Europe, so that's sort of my history, sort of passion. So I've been certainly all over Central Europe. Um, Oh, one place I haven't been is Ireland, and I'm certainly very interested to get there as well. And the other one place that a couple of good friends of mine have been that rave about is Iceland. So
Yeah.
those two places I think will be on the bucket list
Yeah,
to visit.
for
Yeah.
sure. If you were stuck on an island, what three things would you bring and no, you cannot bring people?
Um, I wouldn't bring a cell phone, I tell you that. Um, for me, if I'm on an island, I know two things I do need, otherwise I'm not going to make it, would be a hat and sunscreen.
Yeah.
Because I know with my fair skin, and then the other thing would be, um, yeah, something that I feel sort of connected to. So I think if I could bring something that could help me feel connected to my family, whether that would be like a photo album, I think that would probably be
Yeah.
important for me for sure.
Yeah, no, that's nice.
Uh,
This is a really good question. If
uh-oh.
you could switch lives with one staff member in the school for one day, who would it be?
That is a good question. If I could switch with one staff member, who would it be? You know who it would be Miss Woodburn. Uh, and just because every day seems like she has so much fun and that she loves what she does and she's really good at what she does, I think it just be neat to kind of say, hey, how is that? You know, she just rocks it every single day. So I think I'd give that a try.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It would be really fun. I agree, for sure. What is one superpower that you would want to have?
Oh, I think flying would be the coolest thing. Like just to be able to kind of zoom around.
Yeah,
Um, I think that'd be the newest one.
for sure. If you could have one song play every time you entered a room, what song would it be?
Like a WWE entrance song.
Oh,
Uh,
for
but
sure.
my one of my favorite songs, it's sort of an oldie, was "House of Pain, Jump Around," and that's sort of the old, the kind of sports thing I was into at the time. So anytime someone asks me that question, that's the first song that comes to my mind is "House of Pain."
Oh, that's
Some
funny.
of you might have to Google that. You're like, "Who? House of what?" Google it. You'll understand.
No, it's a great song for first impressions.
Right.
Which coffee is better, McDonald's, Tim Hortons, or Starbucks?
I actually do not like Tim Hortons, but um, I like McDonald's.
Yeah.
I'd probably buy that more just because it's closer to our school. And then once a week I'll treat myself to an Americano over at Starbucks, but it's a little too
Yeah.
expensive for my cheap taste. So once a week I'll do that, but mostly it'd be McDonald's.
Okay. Would you rather have a sports car or an SUV?
Now, based on our life right now, it'd be an SUV for sure.
Yeah.
I don't need a fancy car. I drive a van, so obviously you can.
No,
That cars aren't too important to me.
SUV makes a bit more sense.
You got it.
This is a question that I really want to know the answer to. Did you pass your driver's test on the first try?
I did. The
Oh,
only thing that I still remember, funny, is I remember the one thing that I remember the driver instructor said. I don't remember why I remember this, but she said, "Pull over and do an emergency stop." I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about. I just sort of pull over, and she kind of looks at me. She's like, "Emergency stop." I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. So you have to kind of push the emergency, like the four-way flashers, and put the emergency brake on. And I think that's the only thing that I really didn't know at the time. But I still remember. She's like, "You don't know what an emergency stop is?" No, sorry.
it's gonna make or break it.
Yeah, almost did. But yeah, no, I ended up passing.
um, which teacher's class would you like to enroll in for a day?
Wow. We have, and this is the truth, we have amazing staff, and there's one of my biggest joys in the day is going out. I think you guys see me in the hallways a lot, and I try to pop in the classrooms, and there's so many to choose from. It'd be hard to choose one, to be honest with you. Yeah, like Ms. Coons and Ms. Volkman,
Yeah.
Mr. Desjardins, I could go on and on and on, just about the awesome stuff that happens in our school. So it'd be hard for me to pick one, and then I do try to pop in a lot to see what's going on, and it's usually pretty good stuff.
No, yeah, that's
Yeah,
understandable. I don't think I could choose just one myself if I were you, but I get
yeah,
it.
it's hard.
And final question, do you have any advice for the students during this COVID-19
Yeah.
lockdown kind of time?
Yeah, I just want everyone to know, like, we know this isn't easy, right? So, even for the most well-adjusted people, being in a state of emergency, being confined to your home, and having that connection lost to the school is hard.
Yeah.
And we know in education, like, one of the most important things is connection, whether it's connection to your teacher, connection to your friends, connection to the school, like that sense of belonging, and having that cut off so drastically is hard. So, I just want everyone to know that as a staff, we know this isn't easy, and we just want you to do the best that you can, and that we're giving you the benefit of the doubt, and we want you to do the best you can to engage in the learning, knowing that it's not the same. It's not the same as having a teacher up there in front of you every single day. It's not the same as walking through the hallways and seeing your friends, but we feel it still is important to give it a try, right? And just knowing that to don't stress out. Try to find that balance of doing the learning, spending time with your family, making sure that you're staying mentally healthy.
Yeah.
Go for a walk, be active. I mean, that's my go-to. Is everyone look out, place in the basement, or go for a walk? Is that those things are equally as important as logging on to D2L to see what work that you have to do. And then if you need help with anything, my biggest piece of advice is just make sure that you ask for that help, and that could be schoolwork, that could be for your mental health, that could be for anything. Is that you're not alone on this, although we're all kind of separated. Doesn't mean that you're alone. In fact, I think you have the opportunity to be even more connected during this time than you were before, because what else is there to do? So check in on each other, support each other, make sure everyone's doing okay, and just do the best that you can.
Mhm. Well, thank you for making the time to
Oh,
come
that's it? That's
interview
all you
you.
got? Yeah.
Yeah. That's it. We
Okay.
made
We'll do it.
it.
All right. We'll do it anytime. So I
Thank
appreciate the work that you
you.
guys are doing behind the scenes. I think that, student council has an important role in this too, is how can you guys, continue to keep people connected, and know that you have some good initiatives that are coming up, and keep up the good work.
Thank you.
All right.
Oh, well, stay safe.
You too. All right. We'll see you soon. Hopefully.
Bye.
All right. See y'all.